All right, so this is another example of transferring or preparing a file to take it over to Vcarve, and then I'll go through real quickly the Vcarve steps. But basically what I have here is a group, and if I click on zoom to extents up here, you can see this is the only thing that shows, although the file itself has, I'm going to do view or do edit, unhide all, and if you look at this file, it's got tons and tons of stuff all over the place, you know. Okay, so but if I go to CNC, it automatically tells it go ahead and hide all that other stuff outside of this little rectangle. Now I'm in the rectangle or in the group, so now that I'm in the group, I'm going to do a view. You can see there's some stuff hidden in here. I clicked on hidden, view hidden, so I'm going to do edit, unhide all, and as long as I'm in that group, it's only going to unhide the items within that group. It's not going to unhide all the other stuff that's out and about. Now the piece that I'm going to work on is this one right here. So these are other functions. These are other things that I'm going to be doing on this, but for right now I only want to focus on this one here, and that's the only file I want to transfer over to Vcarve. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say hide. So you can see that by because I'm in the view, the hidden geometry view, you can see they're there, but they're checkerboarded, right? Okay, so they're basically still there, but they're hidden. Don't worry about the dimensions or the notes. Those aren't going to carry over anyhow. So now, from now on, I could just work on this guy right here. And basically, I'm not going to do much. I've got everything done here that I want to do. My color coding, I've hopefully covered that somewhere else, where typically this off red means go full through. So you can see those here, you can see them here, see them here. And then the blue means go down about 0.9 because I want to put some pencils in there or bits. I want to be able to put stuff in there, but I don't want them to go all the way through. The gray is kind of a reminder that that's tabs. The green is a reminder that that's a little bit greater than a quarter inch, so that's probably going to be 0.375. And then this blue here is pretty much, that's going to be 0.375 for sure. So and then the yellow means it's actually off of the chart, so it's not going to pick that up. In fact, it just dawned on me, a couple of these down here are not going to pick up, so I might as well get rid of them right now, because it's only going to pick up to everything from 12 inches on out, because this is a 24-inch deal. I'm going to 12 right now. So really everything that's outside that line isn't going to pop up anyhow. So I kind of forgot about that. I'm going to have to delete those. And then we'll go the other direction. Again, 12 inches that way, because this is going to be a 24-inch pass. So I'm going to be able to pick up a couple of those, but not much. And I have some other stuff going on here. So 1 inch over, I have a 3/4 inch track, and so I can't go into that area at all, and I need enough room for the heads of things. So I'm going to get rid of that. Oops, didn't want to get rid of that. Control Z. So that, and that, because they're not going to make it, they're not going to make the cut anyhow. So basically I'm going to rely on things that are inside here within that 24-inch range for things that are going to show up and that are going to be available to do on the CNC. Okay, so now I do a file, save as, and then I was going to give this a new number, so that's now version 7. Save it. I go into Vcarve. This is an older file, 11 by 11 that I had, so I already saved it. So I'm going to go to new, 11 width, 11 height. Actually, I want 24 height, so 24. And then thickness, I'm going to be using 1-inch material. So let's go ahead with that. I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to go up here to import my vectors, which will be an importing of this particular file, which is number 7 we talked about. And I'm going to say open. It's going to gyrate a little bit here and there. That'll pop up. And then if you hit pause right now, if you want to know what the settings are, if you hit pause and just look at these settings, you're good to go. And you can see it always comes in, for whatever reason, off center. So I have to go over to this icon right here. I click on that. That pops up a new window. I click on this center one right here. And then it put everything where I wanted it. Now remember, that's a 32-inch piece on a 24-inch form, or a CNC thing, right? So again, here's those couple of those items that aren't going to even make the cut, but everything else is all there. It's all selected. So I clicked somewhere just to deselect. Now because this is kind of a larger screen, I want to go ahead and just start seeing what it is a little bit better. So I'm going to click on the zoom and select. So I did that. And then I guess there's a place you got to start somewhere, right? So knowing that these are all full through, well, actually I should start here. That's the center punch, the center pin. So I always do that first. And that way, if I start a project, a CNC run, and something goes wrong, and I got to pull the board out or start all over again partway, halfway through, or whatever, do some fixes, well, now I always have that center pin of this particular set, and I'm all good to go. So I'm going to have 1.0 on that, 1.00. And since it's a 1/4 inch diameter, I can change my number of passes down to 2. That's plenty because it's just going straight down. I'm going to call that my center pin at 1.00. Calculate. So now it jumps over to there. It doesn't even show, right? Now I go back to 2D view, and again it shrunk it quite a bit on the screen. So I'm going to zoom in and then see where I'm at. Now I have to kind of remember I've got that one all done. So then I want to go ahead, and these are all 1/4 inch holes. Again, because I don't need to run 8 passes on a 1/4 inch hole, if I just go ahead and select all the 1/4 inch holes, then I'm good to go, and I can reduce that, the time it takes to run. Now these here, I can't remember if those are full through or not. So I'm going to jump over to my, my SketchUp, take a look at those, and yes, they are all reddish colored. So that means that I can go ahead and I can include those. So I'm going to do a shift drag, so that captured them, but it also captured these. Now I can go ahead and look at some of the other ones. I've got a bunch of them up here. Do I dare? Yeah, okay, so let's zoom in on these so it's a little easier to select. Again, these are all still selected. These are all still selected. I know these are all 1/4 inch holes, and I'm going full through. So I'm going to go ahead, click on those, shift click rather. I shift click on that. I shift click on that. I shift click on that. Shift click on that. These center pins are also 1/4 inch. So go ahead and do those in a single pass. These are 1/4 inch. These are really just in case somebody doesn't have a CNC and they want to use radiuses instead. Now I'm just sliding up, basically repeating that same thing. Shift click, shift click, shift click, shift click, shift click, shift drag, shift drag, and then I can get this guy down here, that guy down there. I think there were 2 more up there. Yep, there were 2 more up here. So click him and click him. Did I get them right? Yep, there we go. And those are a little tougher to get, so I'm going to zoom in on those. Okay, see, I accidentally clicked on that. So if I just shift click, that basically unclicks it. I don't want to try to make little X's on a CNC because it's not going to happen. And I see I did it down here as well. So shift click on that, shift click on that. So now I have, but I don't have the outers collected. So shift click on the outer, shift click on the outer. There, now they're selected. And then just working my way up, looking at all the 1/4 inch holes, making sure I don't want, that's the center pin. That was already taken care of earlier. These are all there. And those are off the chart anyhow. So view, zoom to drawing. Now I'm going to zoom in just one more time just to double check. And then the only one I was a little bit nervous about is these holes here. Were they 1/4 inch? Because I don't want to do a single pass or 2 passes on something that's wider or larger diameter than 3/4. So let's just go back to SketchUp. And all that stuff in Vcarve has still been selected. So if I do T, yes, that's a 1/4 inch. Okay, so I can come back to Vcarve. You can see they're still all selected. And as long as I don't click anywhere, which is a bad thing because then I'd unclick them all, I can go to Toolpath. I can select this one here, the pocket. I want to go full depth, so 1.0. But this is where I'm going to edit those passes. Instead of doing 8 passes, I'm going to do 2, which is just really, down, come up a little bit, and then go back down. And then I'm going to type in all 1/4 inch holes at 1.00. Calculate. So it's kind of showing them. We'll see. All right, so now when I just click somewhere on here, that basically deselected all that stuff. Again, some of this is memory, but what the heck. So now I'm gonna, again, I want to stay kind of focused on, I don't want to get too wide of a view because then I have trouble. So then let's go ahead and do these. These are all a little larger hole. These are 3/8 inch diameter, this one. So I'm shift click. I don't want to select these because those are partial through. So now I'm going to work my way down, and I have a similar situation down here. And then I don't have any of those. Those are basically for, I might add those later or something. But so those are all holes that are larger in diameter than 1/4 inch. So those I want to respect the bit, especially in hardwoods. So I'm going to click on pocket, 1/0. It wants to do them at 8 passes. I'm okay with like 6 because most of the hole is kind of there when you're doing a small hole, like a 3/8 hole. So I'm going to call those, let's just call them 3/8 inch holes at 1.00. In other words, the depth. I hit calculate. Then I go back to 2D view again. Okay, what didn't I do yet? All right. So I didn't do this guy here, which is a mortise, and there's another one just like it down here. So shift. So I'm selecting those 2 mortises, and I'm going to do a toolpath on those, pocket toolpath. But those, instead of going down 1.0, I only want to go down 0.375, so 3/8 of an inch. It says it wants to do it in 3 passes. I'll go along with that. Takes a little while, but at least it's easier on the bit. And I'm going to write mortises at 0.375, calculate. Now I go back to 2D view again. All right, what haven't I selected yet? Well, I know I haven't selected these outers. These are countersinks for some bolt heads. So I'm shift click. So those are the only 4 selected. But let's go ahead and click somewhere else, which I did. Okay, so shift click. So those are the only 4 that it knows so far that I'm working on. And then there's going to be 4 just like it up here. Shift click. And those of you that are into Vcarve, you know that I could have done this a little different. I could have done these first because they're going to go down. Let's take them down 0.375 because then we could put a, after we put a bolt in there or a GRK, if somebody wanted to, they could put in a 3/4 inch plug. You need a little space for that. But going back to that, I could have done this a little different. I could have done these first, and then when I go to the insides, I could tell those inside ones to start at 0.375 and then only go the rest of the 0.625 rest. Well, it's not worth all that time of trying to do that on a couple of small holes like that. So I'm going to go with it like this, and then I'm going to go again up here to Toolpath. Again, it's already defaulted to 0.375 from the previous time. It wants to do 3 passes because there is a hole already in there. Most of the meat, a lot of the meat's out of there. I'm just going to go ahead and go 2 passes. I'm comfortable with that. I might not be when I go hardwood. And then, so I'm going to call those countersinks at 0.375, and I think I am going to chicken out and go back to edit passes because if I do this later in hardwood, I don't want to, that would be a little bit much to try to do. Okay, so I'm good to go on that, and let's see, did I calculate? Calculate. So it's showing just those only. So did I get everything? I remember getting these, I remember getting these, I remember getting the mortises. Okay, the only thing I haven't gotten yet are these slots right here. This is a slot that's going to be taken out for a Bessie. Now, there's way too much meat in there to router it out, pass after pass. That's 8 passes of a lot of stuff. So instead of doing the normal, or if you want to call it normal, instead of doing this guy here, a pocket toolpath, this time I'm going to use profile toolpath. And I do want to go to 1.0. And what's different here is now it allows me to set up the tabs. So add tabs to toolpath. I say edit tabs. I have a default of 2, no big deal, you can switch that. I'm going to click on add tabs. Okay, you can see it put the tab there and it put one there. That's a little too close. I'm going to drag it over so it's in there because I have to clean those out later. Now I'm going to go up here. You can see there's another one, same thing. So there's my 2 tabs. Those are pretty decent positions. And now I say close out of the tab thing, but I still need to go in here, drag down, and then I'm going to type Bessies. These are Bessie clamp slots, Bessie ovals, tabbed. I just make myself a note at 1.00. Say calculate. Okay, so I think I got everything, and really the best way to tell is to go to 3D view. I'm going to click on Toolpaths. I'm going to click on that, which clicks everything. Click on it, it unclicks everything. Okay, so I clicked again. So I should have everything selected. And then I want to always start with my center pin, the top one. So if I set that up and it's down here, I want to push that up to the top, but it's right where I want it to be. And I'm going to say preview visible toolpaths. So it all went really, really, really fast. Now I could have done this where I slowed the speed down, but the first time through, I just want to look and see if there's any obvious missing holes. So I have these here, I have all these, I have my mortises, I have my tabbed things, I have 4 countersinks, I have a pattern down here that I just kind of quickly memorize. I look and the same pattern is up here because this is symmetrical. I have my center pin, and then I have some stuff over here that you'll see how later. So I'm comfortable that I have everything. So I'm clicking on that, which selects all of them. I say close. And again, all of them are selected right now. So I go to Save Toolpaths. Again, I just double check to make sure they're all collected. Save Toolpath. It wants to know what I want to call it, and I'm going to call it Tray1 November 22. And it's version 01. I hope it's the last one I have to do. Okay, and that's the toolpath, which is the TAP. Now I want to save the CRV file because that's all the work I just did. So a save as, again, let's call it Tray1 November 22-01. And then I want to put the year in there. 2021. Oops, 2021. All right, and that's my save. So now again, I am going to go to Explorer, and I have a floppy, not a floppy disk, I have a USB in there. Actually, I don't. So I want to put a USB in the computer. It's going to pop up. All right, it's this travel dive, and there's a couple of files on there already, which is a welding jig that I'm making, that I'm going to run this morning as well. That's an 11-inch by 11-inch one. So if I just go to my documents, this is my file naming nomenclature, whatever call it. Anyhow, I've got micro, and then the one that I just saved was Tray1. That was the tap file, Tray1 November.tap. And then just as a backup, I'm going to control and click on that, and control click on that. And again, now I have backups on a floppy disk just for the sake of backups. And I'm going to say copy. I'm going to go over to the travel drive, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say paste. So then it just pasted the tap file for the Tray1, and then I also have a tap file for that 11 by 11, that weld thing. And then when I go in, I'm going to take this drive out now. I'm going to close this completely. I'm going to go down to my safety remove hardware. I'm going to tell it to eject, and then it's going to eject it. It's going to give me a notice saying, yeah, it's okay to go ahead and eject. So I'm ejecting it. And that's basically it. Now I'm going to take my thumb drive out into the shop and plug that into the computer, or excuse me, the CNC machine, and then I'll just run the CNC.